Imagine two brothers, Ethiopia and Eritrea, bound by history, geography, and centuries of shared experience. Their story is one of deep connection where the lines between family and nation once blurred. Once inseparable, now bitter rivals, their relationship transformed by forces both within and beyond their control. Their split wasn't just political, it redrew Africa's map, sending shockwaves through the continent and leaving deep scars that still ache today. For centuries they shared culture, trade, and ambition, united as one people under powerful kingdoms and empires that shaped the region's destiny. The idea of them as enemies would have seemed impossible, almost unthinkable to those who lived through their golden ages. But history has a way of turning colonial powers arrived, drawing new borders with little regard for the people, cultures, or ancient ties that existed there. Today, two flags, two governments, that continues to shape their present and future. How did a single, powerful entity fracture into two nations locked in conflict, suspicion, and longing for what was lost? Outsiders, ambition, and colonization all played their part, each leaving a mark that would prove difficult to erase. The Aksumite Empire was the original powerhouse of the region, a civilization that rose to prominence long before many of its neighbors. Its influence stretched far and wide, shaping the destiny of the Horn of Africa for generations. At its height, the empire spanned what's now Eritrea and northern Ethiopia, uniting diverse peoples under a single. The Red Sea port of Adulis connected them to the world, making Aksum a hub for trade, ideas, and innovation. Goods, people, and stories flowed through its harbors, linking Africa to Arabia, India, and beyond. This unity was their golden age, a period marked by prosperity, monumental architecture, and a flourishing of art and learning. But everything changed with the arrival of European colonial ambitions in the 19th century, during the infamous Scramble for Africa. Italy seized the Eritrean coast, creating a new colony and drawing a border where none had existed before, forever altering the region's fate. Eritrea became Italian. Ethiopia under Menelik II stayed independent after defeating Italy at ADWA, a rare victory against colonial powers in Africa. Suddenly, one brother was under European rule, the other forging his own path, each facing new challenges and opportunities. Two identities began to form, side by side, as colonial borders and policies deepened the differences between them. The seeds of division were sown, setting the stage for a complex and often turbulent relationship that would shape the future of both nations. After World War II, Eritrea's fate was debated. The UN's solution, federation with Ethiopia, autonomy in name but not in practice. Emperor Haile Selassie dismantled Eritrean autonomy, annexing it in 1962. Eritreans felt betrayed, their identity erased. Resistance erupted. The Eritrean Liberation Front launched a 30-year war for independence. The conflict was brutal, forging a fierce Eritrean identity. Ethiopia, meanwhile, faced its own upheaval with the rise of the Derg, but the war in Eritrea raged on, defining a generation. For Eritreans, to exist was to fight. The struggle for nationhood became their story. The cost was immense. In 1991, after decades of struggle, Eritrean rebels finally captured Asmara, the capital, marking the collapse of Ethiopia's long-standing regime. The moment was electric, streets filled with celebration, and hope surged through the region as the old order fell away. Just 2 years later, in 1993, Eritrea held a historic referendum. The people voted overwhelmingly for independence, with nearly unanimous support, and a new nation was born on the Horn of Africa. For a brief, shining moment, hope bloomed. Two new nations, once allies in the fight against dictatorship, now stood side by side as neighbors, imagining a future of peace and cooperation. But beneath the surface, old tensions simmered. The border between Eritrea and Ethiopia was never fully settled, leaving a line on the map that was more a question than an answer. In 1998, a dispute over the small but strategic town of Badme erupted. What began as a disagreement quickly exploded into a full-scale war, shattering the fragile peace. Trenches were dug, artillery thundered, and the cost was staggering. Over 100,000 people lost their lives, and hundreds of thousands more were forced from their homes, their futures uncertain. In 2000, after years of bloodshed, a peace deal was finally signed. An international commission awarded Badme to Eritrea, hoping to end the conflict and bring stability. But Ethiopia refused to accept the ruling, keeping the dispute alive and the border tense. For the next 18 years, both nations lived in a constant state of armed standoff, soldiers facing each other across a hostile, uncertain frontier. The cost was immense: lost lives, shattered families, and resources drained by endless conflict instead of building a better future. The wounds of war ran deep, leaving scars on both nations. Even as the world moved on, true peace remained heartbreakingly out of reach. Truly reconcile? The future remains uncertain, a question mark over a divided land.